Hi, this is Shayla with Whole Motherhood. You're listening to Moms Learning with Moms, and we've got Alice with us today. She has been my friend for probably about 10-ish years. I saw her go through the process that you're going to hear about. I think it took the whole community off guard a little bit. She's a big part of the community, just does so much in it, and she's just really inspiring. All right, Alice, are you ready?
I'm ready. Well, so the very beginning, when I started to lose weight, it was actually my New Year's resolution, 2010, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so I just decided that I needed to lose half my body weight. Like Shayla said, I've been active, involved in the community. I do lots of things. My kids are involved, and I try to be involved wherever my kids are involved. And so just busy, active lifestyle, but I weighed 325 pounds. I was tired, very often when I got out of bed in the morning, I hurt. Like I would kind of have to hold on to things to walk into the bathroom in the morning. And it just kind of resonated with me one day that I just needed to lose some weight. And I think the main thing, well, I say the main thing, there were a lot of contributing factors, but the one thing I remember the most is it was Christmas time and my husband took me shopping to Maurice's, and I went in and found these cutest jeans. I honestly had to try on the biggest size that they had, which like a size 28. So I took that into the dressing room, tried them on, and I couldn't get them up. I literally pulled them up like mid thigh, and I could not get them any higher. And I stood there and looked at myself in the mirror with the biggest pair of pants in the store up to my thighs. And I started to cry. And I was like, okay, this has to change. This has to be different. And so I put those back, went right out to the truck, just sat in the truck and cried on my husband's shoulder for probably 10 minutes before he could even console me enough to, start the truck and drive home. So that was at Christmas time, about a week before Christmas. And I just decided right then and there that I was going to make a change. And really, really and truly, ladies, I think it's 90% mental. You have to go through all of the other things. You have to make it work all the way around. But the main thing you need to do is make up your mind. And your mind can do very, very powerful things. So that was the main turning point for me, I believe. So then it was close enough to Christmas that I was like, all right, I'm going to gather my thoughts, get all my things together, figure out what I'm doing, and I'm going to make this change. I weighed 325 pounds. And so ideally I'm 5'10". And so, I don't know. I feel like I probably held my weight pretty well. I was heavy, but I don't know that people would have given me 325.
Right.
That's a big number. So anyway.
Well, it was interesting also because you taught swim lessons. Like you're always at the swimming pool. You're super active, and yeah, I don't think that weight would have ever come up. So
right. And happy overall. I have a really good husband. I have a good home. I have great kids. I'm strong in my religion. Just, I have a lot of faith. I knew that I was going to be okay. So I can't say that I was ever like really unhappy with my weight. Just, I felt the need that I needed to be healthier. And so that's where I started, was I just needed to be healthy. Not that I needed to be skinny. I never tried to be skinny. I always tried to be healthy. And so that's kind of the route I took. So, there's all different kinds of options. There's Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, all the things. And I kind of researched and studied and looked at all of those. But I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't have the money for any of them. So really and truly, I didn't use any fancy weight loss, anything. There's no magic pill. I did not do a system at all. I mean, similar, I guess. I cut back on my calories. So the gym on Main, which is now where I teach class, they were hosting a Biggest Loser contest. And so I joined that, and they did classes every Saturday morning, teaching you how to get into exercise and different things to eat and ways to boost your metabolism. So they taught this little class, and I went for 8 weeks. I went to that class. So I went to that class and they taught some things. I remember the lady who was teaching the class. She really was my mentor when I first started. And so I went 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I exercised every day. Every muscle in my body was sore. I wrote down every single thing I put in my mouth, tried to cut my calories to I shot for about 1,200 calories when I was losing weight. That would give me a little bit of leeway so I could go up to 15, but I would shoot for 12, go up to 15. And that was my caloric intake that I aimed for during my weight loss time. And so I was really careful to hit that. And sometimes it was hard. Really and truly, I started eating less more often is what we did. So I would eat every couple of hours, and I would have probably about 300 calories for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then I would have 3 different snacks during the day that would be about 100 calories each. So, 100 calories is 1 apple or 1 banana or 1 orange. I like to try to make sure I got lots of protein in there too, because I learned that if I ate something, I could eat something foofy for 100 calories and be hungry 20 minutes later. But if I would eat something with some protein for 100 calories, then that would sustain me for 2 hours. And I remember that being my mantra for a long time. Okay, I'm not going to starve to death in the next 2 hours. Not going to starve in the next 2 hours, and then I can eat again. So that's kind of the way I made it through, which is funny. But I remember calling her like probably 2 weeks into it. And I just said, I have done everything. I have done everything. I have not lost a pound. I'm killing myself. What am I doing? And she honestly said, you know what? Your body it's had this for so long that now that you're making these changes, it takes a minute. Your body has to learn to trust that you're still going to feed it. It doesn't have to hang on to every single thing. You're still getting the nutrients you need. You're still going to be okay. She's like, just hold on. Just hold on. Keep doing it. It's going to work. And I mean, I'll be darned if it wasn't the very next day I'd lost 5 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And then it just started. It just started and it came off very regularly. So I never really hit a plateau. I consistently lost at least half a pound every day. At the end, it took me 15 months. I was hoping to hit my ideal weight by my birthday, which is in March. Well, March 4th, and it took me until March 15th. So it took just over 15 months for me to hit my ideal weight, which was 165. So I lost half my body weight. So that's what I did there.
So was that exercising each day and watching the calories?
Yes, that's very much what I did. Is I would, like I said, I ate less more often.
Right.
And then I did do something every single day. So I would get up and go to the gym in the morning and exercise there. And just funny, you were one of those little tiny strong women who were at the gym. And I'm like, dude, I can't lift that much. I'm starting out with 5-pound weights. I remember being terrified to even go up to like 8-pound weights because that seemed so big. It just took a long time. It took a long time to tone. I drank a lot of water. You have to make sure water is key. Water is essential. What do they say? An ounce per 10 pounds of body weight or something. Okay. I drink like a gallon of water a day. So yeah, I drink a lot of water, but it just cleans you out and keeps you going. I sweat like a crazy human when I exercise. I sweat straight salt, which is great. So
now you're exercising, was it weight classes specific, or did you mix cardio in there?
I kind of mixed it together. I did a HIIT program with weights, mainly because that was the class that was offered at the gym in the time that I could go there. So we did some high intensity stuff, which for me was very low impact intensity because that was still really, really hard and had to build into that. And so we did that 3 days a week. And the other 2 days a week, yeah, 2 or 3 days a week, I would go up and either ride like a spin bike
Yeah.
or walk on the treadmill, or I love to be outside. And I have a dog who is insistent that I throw this toy the entire time we talk. So I would walk him a lot, and that was fine. So I would take him on walks, and eventually those got longer and steeper because now I like to climb mountains, not just walk out in the valley. So
You know,
I mixed it up.
in something you have said, just that it was interesting that nobody seemed to know until a certain poundage or something. It just, you were losing all this weight and nobody could tell until, I can't remember what you said it was.
Yeah, it was funny actually. I quite got a kick out of that because I did start to lose quite regularly after that first 2 weeks. Then I was dropping some every day. In fact, that was the deal I would make with myself. As long as I've lost anything, a tenth of a pound, I'll go back to the gym. And I did every single day. I don't know. Yeah, the first thing people started saying was, "Oh, your face looks very thin." So I'm like picturing myself with these big bubble cheeks, because all of a sudden my face looks very thin. So that's the thing people would say, but no one noticed. No one, or maybe they noticed, but they were just kind enough not to say anything. I don't know, but no one said anything until I had lost like 80 pounds.
Wow.
80. That's a lot of weight, but nobody said anything until I'd lost 80 pounds. And then they were like, "Wow, are you losing weight?" Yeah, I'm actually. And so then 100, people noticed when I hit 100 pounds and 120. And then it was funny because then it started more comments like, "Girl, you're going to waste away. You've got to stop losing that. You've got to stop losing weight." Like, I still weigh 180 pounds. Like, I've got some room to go. I'm not blowing in the breeze anywhere. I'm fine. But it was funny because nobody noticed at all. And then through that transition, they started to be concerned that I was losing too much, but that's fine. I averaged about 3 pounds a week throughout that 15 months.
And so is that what you maintain right now? Is that kind of your goal, or did you keep losing after that?
I got down to 165, and then I maintained right around there. And it's funny, the last 10 pounds, literally the last 10 pounds were harder to lose than the first 150. And maybe because I was closer to my ideal body weight. So people always say it's so hard to take off those 10 pounds. And it is. It was harder to take off that last 10 than the other 150. But I think it's because I was closer to my body weight. And so that's just where I needed to be. That was my healthy weight. I did do like a sugar-free challenge, which does not actually work for me in the long run because I really like sweets. I very much have a sweet tooth. I have to make sure I proportion it correctly because I like sugar. Anyway, I did a little challenge that was sugar-free for like 21 days or something. And I did get down to 150 at that point. 150 was the lowest I ever went. I like bread and I like sugar. So I eat it in small proportions. I'm back up to 170 now. So I'm not at 165, I'm at 170, but I also contribute that a lot to some muscle gain because I've definitely toned up a lot since I initially lost the weight. So.
And so has it been difficult to maintain? Do you find yourself going back at all or really fluctuating?
I think that I did it in the manner of I needed to do something that would last my entire life. I think that because I set out with that in mind, and I still had kids living at home and I still have to cook for my husband, and I don't like to cook anyway. I'm not about to cook 2 different dinners. Like, that's not going to happen. We all have to find a happy medium here. So I just started cooking healthier, using leaner meats, that kind of thing. For a long time, I would puree cauliflower and just like fill cauliflower into lots of different recipes until my husband caught me one time. And then he was like, "Don't you put cauliflower in my banana bread." But he never did that until he caught me that day. So I just made some healthier choices and implemented those. So so by losing weight that way, the maintenance really has not been hard, because that's now how I eat and what I do. I do like cheese. I eat a lot of cottage cheese. Can I throw in a plug for Clean Simple Eats? Because I have all of their recipe books, and they're really, really good. Low fat, low carb, healthy, delicious meals. And so I try to eat a lot of things with a lot of protein and healthy fats. I'm allergic to avocados, which is a bummer, so I can't eat any avocados. But I like nuts and I like cheese. And so I just make healthy choices, and the maintenance has not been hard. No. And changing my lifestyle to be a more active lifestyle and going to the gym. Like I said, now I teach at the gym those 3 days a week. I know one of the questions you had asked was, did I have a support group? And I'll tell you what, I'm certain that you can find it anywhere that you are looking for it. But this support group that we have here in this little small town, and that group of strong women, strong mothers who go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, are incredible. And they just send texts throughout the day. I mean, they did the whole time I was losing. They would throw little parties at milestones, and it was fun. It was fun the whole time. It still is fun. It's still that same group of women, except those of you who have moved across the country. but yeah, we still run races together. We still do those crazy races. And yeah, it's incredible to have a good support system, because sometimes it is hard, and you really have to know that you can count on somebody, and that you can cry to somebody and they're still going to love you through it. That's important. And my husband was fabulous, but he didn't always understand why I hurt so much. Every muscle in my body hurt, and I still went back to the gym. But all those ladies who were there, they got it. That's fine. It's important to have that.
So now that you do have this healthy, fit body, tell me about what you do now. What have you been able to do? What do you love to do?
Well, so it's funny, after I lost my weight and I hit my goal, then all my friends at the gym were like, well, what are you going to do now? I was like, well, I guess I'll learn to love to run. Right. So we'll roll with that. So I went home that day and I printed off a training schedule, a 12-week training schedule to run a half marathon.
Wow.
Then I ran a half marathon, and I went over with my friend Diane in her RV, and we spent the night over in Bryce Canyon, and then we ran the half marathon, and I did pretty well. I don't know. It was actually my PR for a long time. I think it was like 2:12 or something. Oh. And I felt really good about it, but oh my goodness, my stomach was not so happy. I remember just being curled up in the fetal position in her RV on the way home thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? What have I done? But once I got past that initial shock, then I was like, okay, wait, I lived through that. I can make this happen again. And the mental tenacity that you have to lose that weight, and then to start something like a half marathon regimen, you have to be pretty mentally strong. So after I got done with that and I lived through it, I thought, well, I'm going to do that again. Let's see if we can do that again. So I did. I ran, I don't know how many, probably like 150 half marathons. And wow. Yeah, I don't have stomach problems anymore. That I don't do that when I run half marathons. But I remember running half marathons, and then I had another friend suggest that I run a full marathon. And I was like, oh, that's not going to happen. She kept talking. That's key. She actually did convince several of us. I think we ended up with like 8 of us that year, decided to run the St. George Marathon. And, it was funny because my initial thought was, okay, well, if I live to see the finish line, then I'll probably do this again. So that was kind of the ideal. And I did live to see the finish line. I mean, I was like 5.5 hours, but I did it. I ran a marathon, and I was like, that's awesome. And so then we decided we'd run that St. George Marathon. every year. So then we all ran it again the next year.
Hmm.
And then we all ran it again the next year. But then the next year, my son was getting married and he set his wedding date on the same day as the St. George Marathon. I don't know why you didn't talk to me about that. I'm just kidding. It was beautiful and it was incredible. I said to my friends, I can't run St. George, so I'm going to have to run something else because I still need to run that one marathon a year, right?
Hmm.
So, right, obviously.
Obviously.
So I ended up running Ogden Marathon, which is a city about 5 hours north of here. But I ended up running that marathon that year. And then I was like, well, that's fun. I should do this one every year too. So it just started to circulate in my brain. And then I set the goal in 2017. I set the goal to run a full marathon every month.
Hmm.
So I did do that. So I mean, I had to fly to warmer places than Utah to run during the winter. In Arizona, actually January and December ended up being in Phoenix and then in Buckeye, Arizona, which is close to Phoenix, a suburb of.
Hmm.
So I ran those and then I did a couple in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is considerably warmer than here. And I did a lot up north. I had to go to Idaho to get cool enough to run one in August. So I kind of went all over and ran a full marathon every month in 2017. So I did do that and then I loved it. And once you're trained to that level, then it doesn't hurt. Like we'd go run a marathon and then go climb a mountain because we had time in the afternoon. So, once you're trained to that level, it's not as painful as if you only run one. So I decided to just continue with that. So I continued with that all the way through 2018, right up until November. So it was on November 1st, actually, that I was just teaching at the elementary school. So I had done, 12 plus 10 more.
Hmm.
So I had done 22 full marathons in a row.
Wow.
A total of 26 full marathons at that point. And I was just getting ready in November was supposed to be my first ultra marathon, which was going to be a 50-mile run that November. Wow. And so that was going to be in November. But I was at work and I teach PE at the elementary school here in town. And I was showing a 6th grader how not to tackle people during flag football. And I didn't even do a full lunge. Like it was the silliest thing and just blew my ACL, man, just to smithereens. I hit the ground, just blasted my knee, blew up my ACL like it looked like a bomb had exploded in there. I tore my meniscus and tore my MCL. So had that lovely little triangle. So then I went from running all the time. I mean, I was putting in like 100 miles a week to I could not walk. So that was a rough change.
Wow.
Anyway, so thank goodness at that point too. And I'm thankful every day that I learned how to eat differently because from being that active to absolutely nothing, I had about 6 weeks between then till my surgery where they repaired the ACL. And then I had 6 full weeks of you're not doing anything besides little physical therapy. So I could use the elliptical and I could ride a spin bike, but I could have no weight on the spin bike. I just had to have like 0 resistance and just move my leg. So for 12 weeks, I really could not do anything. And so I was thankful that I had changed my eating habits because you can't outrun your fork, right? And so it's a good thing that I had stopped eating so much, or, I could have very easily gained it all back at that point, but didn't, which was good. And then I had to wait a full year before the doctor gave me clearance to even try to run on it again. So, but after that year was up, you can bet I ran another full marathon.
Did you really?
So
oh my God.
I did. Yeah. I have a friend who owns a pacing business and kind of last minute, she said, I need a sweeper, which is the last person across the finish line to just make sure everybody else can make it there. And I was like, oh, me, I'll sweep. So I swept that I swept that full marathon for her.
Wow.
And there you go. So I did it again. I do like to hike a lot. So I have kind of transitioned. COVID shut down all our races and all that kind of thing. So during that period where we had to, distance ourselves from other people, then I spend a lot of time in the mountains, it's pretty easy to isolate yourself from other people when you live in the middle of nowhere. So we spend a lot of time up in the mountains, I say we because the women that I was still working with every day, we all started hiking together. And
Hmm.
so we spent a lot of time there, and I like to hike. I don't run so much anymore, but I do put in a lot of hiking miles.
So I do have a question on what do you think kind of were the lifestyle habits that got you to the 325?
I think it was a culmination of a lot of things. I had 4 children very, very close together. We all know that's not actually an excuse, but I did gain a lot of weight, and then I didn't lose it. I didn't lose all of it. So that came on
Mm.
slowly with more children that I had. And then I don't know, just not paying attention more than likely. And cooking, my cooking style is very different. You do not, believe it or not, you do not have to eat bread with every single meal. I never would have told you that 20 years ago, but believe it or not, you can make it through an entire day without eating a piece of bread. Just, my cooking style changed. My realization of what I was putting in my mouth kind of changed. I quit drinking soda. I don't drink any soda at all. And I don't know that that was a huge factor, but I know the carbonation sometimes can hold on the extra weight. But I did quit drinking soda. I drink mainly water all the time, which is great. I also think just busy lifestyle, so it's easy to just grab something fast at McDonald's or whatever. For a long time, I was the cheer coach at the high school. My girls cheered, my boys were involved in athletics. And so we would ride the bus and we would stop at Wendy's, and that's what we all ate for dinner 4 or 5 days a week, and didn't really think about it. And it just kind of compounded and compounded. And then looking back after I lost all my weight, I put a lot of thought into this actually. And I think one of the big things that I did that I didn't really notice was I would just clean off the plates. I
Mm.
was born in a time, I'm 53 years old. So, my growing up years, my very young years, we didn't have a lot of money, and we had to be very careful, and we did not waste food. If you put it on your plate, you eat it.
Mm.
And so we would clear our plate, and that was just kind of like in my mind. And I know for a fact that for several years, as I was cooking for 4 children, and then we'd clean up afterward, there would be just, 4 or 5 bites left on each plate. And in my brain, I can't waste food. So I didn't really push that with them, like you eat until you're full, whatever. But then there was still food on their plate.
Hmm.
So I would just take those 4 or 5 bites off of 4 extra plates for 3 meals every day. I'm essentially getting an extra meal with every meal. And
Wow.
so obviously that weight has to go somewhere, right? So for years and years I did that, and it just did not really resonate in my brain until afterward. And I thought, well, obviously I was eating a lot of food. So I've learned we actually threw out all of our old plates. I bought smaller plates.
Hmm.
So now we can't over portion because our plates are only this big. So smaller plates, and then just smaller portions. So portion control, portion control, portion control. I'll preach that till the day I die, honestly and truly. You can eat what you want, just eat the recommended portion of it. I know one thing as I was doing my research, and everyone says drink a lot of water. Definitely make sure you drink a lot of water. I went from 325 pounds to 165. I have very little extra skin, very little. I'm wearing long sleeves right now, so you can't really tell. I do still have this little chunk down here, right? And my thighs kind of took the brunt of it. My stomach is pretty straight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I don't have a lot of extra skin on my belly.
Mm.
And I do think drinking a lot of water and using the weights and lifting and doing those exercises did help tone and shrink that back to where it was supposed to. I did not lose fast. Like I said, it was 2.5 or 3 pounds a week. And so slowly, with drinking all of the water, your skin actually has a lot of elasticity.
Mm.
So it can stretch back pretty nicely, which is good. Also, when I was doing that research, every professional says ginger root will help shrink belly fat. I put ginger in a lot of things, like in all of my smoothies. I would like zest my garlic, or not garlic, I'm sorry, ginger root into a lot of my different smoothies and into a lot of recipes. Even like the powdered spice I would put in with regular meals. And so like my husband loves hamburger helper, which is the weirdest thing in the world to me, but he loves the stroganoff hamburger helper. I would sprinkle ginger in there.
That was fresh ginger that you would zest into the meal? Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it adds a little bit of a zing. I didn't put a whole lot in there, but I put it in almost everything. So I was actually getting a lot of ginger. I can't tell you if that's exactly what happened or not, but I have very little belly to speak of, which is great. I definitely have a sweet tooth. So birthday cakes, I cut a normal cake, I think 15 pieces, but then I would cut that piece into fourths. So then I would eat a fourth of a piece of cake with like 1 spoonful of ice cream. And honestly and truly, Shayla, that was typically enough. That was enough to justify my sweet tooth. It's not like I planned on eating that for my whole meal, but more times than not, that quarter piece of cake and that 1 spoonful of ice cream was enough to justify my sweet tooth. Occasionally, I would want another one. So then I would have one other little piece, but still then I'm only eating half a piece of cake as opposed to 2 pieces of cake. And so just being aware of that, I think. I did eat frozen grapes, just regular grapes that you get from the grocery store, wash them off really good, put them in little Ziploc bags, the little snack size, freeze them. They're like little popsicle bites. So when you have that sweet tooth right before you go to bed, eat some grapes, man, it's great. So just finding ways to hit my little sweet tooth and curb all my cravings and keep me full, because hunger is a real thing in my life. And so I can't be hungry. So it's been fun. I've been a long time now. Like we're working on 11, 12 years that I've been at my goal weight. And it just seems so unreal to me sometimes. And I teach PE at the local elementary school, and sometimes I think these kids don't have any recollection of me being like that. Like this is the only way they know me. And it's fun when you asked if I would join you today. I thought, oh, that's awesome that, she remembers that. I feel good. I feel healthy. I feel strong. And I love that. That's definitely a feeling worth having.
Alice, that is perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying all those things and talking about it. I love how I think you're proud of it. And I just love the process that you went through and just everything about it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. That's been fun. And you can do hard things. Mental tenacity. You got it.
We are going to encourage each of you to just keep learning. Go ahead and give this a like if you liked it. And we will talk to you guys later.